we have an update on the Trevor Bauer situation. We just made a video on this yesterday, so I'll link that in the description down below. But this is from the woman's point of view, so I'm just gonna touch up on that. And there's also a little bit of information worth mentioning, so I'll touch up on that. Oh, and by the way, before I start off, a couple of things worth mentioning. One, again, these are allegations. We don't know who's right and who's wrong. And two, a lot of the stuff that I'm about to say is very graphic. So if you don't like graphic stuff, you better click off this video right now. That's your only warning. So let me get to it, okay? So apparently what the woman is saying is that Trevor Bauer strangled her while he was having sex until she lost consciousness on multiple occasions, which, by the way, required her to be hospitalized. This is some pretty crazy stuff, Mario. And basically, he repeatedly punched her in the face during sex and left her with injuries that, like I mentioned, required hospitalization. Um, and she had a very brief statement, Mario. She said, and I quote, "I am deeply concerned that no arrest has been made or charges filed." Um, and while asking the court to issue a no contact order that would prevent Trevor Bauer from coming within 100 yards of her, the woman provided those graphic details of the two meetings with Bauer and photographs that showed two black eye scratches on her face and bruised and cut lips. Um, and she also mentioned that the first time her and Bauer met, he used her hair to choke her unconscious. And while she was awake, she said he was penetrating her annually. And about 3 weeks after her first meeting at her home in Pasadena, California, she agreed to return. And in that meeting, she said that he punched her in the face, and in her like crotch area and things like that, and her buttocks, and left her with what doctors call, quote, significant head and facial trauma. And she also went on to say, quote, "I agreed to have consensual sex. However, I did not agree or consent of what he did next. I did not agree to be sexually assaulted." And Pasadena police continue to investigate the alleged assaults, which took place on April 21st and on May 16th. Um, and Bauer plans to deny the account during a July 23rd hearing, according to his representatives, which, by the way, we did talk about this, but this is worth mentioning. They issued a statement denying that Bauer actually assaulted the woman, calling the encounters fully consensual, and that's pretty much what she wanted him to do. We did talk about that yesterday. Um, but there were also messages including like, quote, "Give me all the pain," and, quote, "Choke me out," things like that. Um, Now, before I continue, this article was written by Jeff Passan and Alden Gonzalez. So yeah, so now we got both sides of the story, okay? But now we need to figure out which one's right. Or if there's a whole nother thing that happened that we don't know of. Now I don't know what's gonna happen to Trevor Bauer. I'm not sure if he's gonna be playing or not, or whatever. Just most likely not. But I know the Dodgers released a statement yesterday saying that they're looking into the matter and that they're not releasing any more statements at this time. So most likely he's probably not going to be playing throughout this. But going back to the situation, okay? Look, I don't know who's right and who's wrong, which is why this is so tough to say, because one side said that this is what she was saying, this is what she wanted, and that they had messages to prove it. Now, in the article, it doesn't have any pictures. If there are pictures of the messages, you'll probably find them on Google somewhere. But in the article, there is no pictures of the messages, so I couldn't tell you what they said. But according to the representatives, that is what they said. And like I said, we did mention this yesterday, so I'll link that in the description down below. But now we got the woman saying that, yeah, she asked for the sex, but she didn't ask to be assaulted. Oh, now we just got to find out what really happened. Now obviously we'll go to the woman's perspective. If that's the case, shame on Trevor Bauer. Like, come on, like it's one thing to have sex, but to sexually assault her, that's a whole nother thing. Like that's just not even right. Now going back to the point of view of his representatives, if what they said was right, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think Trevor Bauer gets in trouble or even as much trouble as you would think. And here's why I say that, okay? And I forgot to mention this, but I think I should mention it now. Because if what Trevor Bauer's representative said is true, where she asked for it, I'm going to be honest with you. Is it wrong to do? I mean, yeah, it is, depending on how you look at it. But, like, she asked for it. That's what she wanted. He did what she did. You know what I mean? I don't think he doesn't get in trouble. I think he does get in trouble, not to a high extent like you would think. But the reason why I think that is because she asked for it. But now let's go to her point of view. She's right, and she didn't ask for it. Obviously, Trevor Bauer's going to get into a lot of trouble. We all know that. That's just how it works. But I think if the representative's point of view is correct, I don't think Trevor Bauer gets into as much trouble as you would think. Maybe he doesn't even get in trouble at all, but we don't know exactly what's going on. Like we said, these are allegations, so we don't know who's right and who's wrong in the situation. So again, I don't think this is the end of this. So if there is an update, we'll let you guys know. But with that being said, I'm not wishing anybody the best of luck because again, I don't know who's right and who's wrong. So I'll pass on to you, Mario.
Yeah, I mean, Nate, I heard both points of views, right? And I think what this is mainly going to be focused on is exactly if it was either A, wholly consensual, or B, if during sex she did not want any of he was going too far. Because one thing, I don't remember if I touched up on it, but I'll say it right now. One thing that I was saying in my mind is like, all right, they say that the sex is consensual. A possibility is that it was, and then it got a little too far, which is exactly what's being explained here. She said, hey, look, I admit it was consensual, but the stuff he was doing next, I did not agree to. So she has agreed to that. So there's that right there. The other thing is, first of all, I look at like what's going on with her. There's photographs that show two black eyes, scratches on her face, bruised and cut lips. Like, I mean, stuff like that. I mean, that shows graphic. That's something pretty graphic. And we don't have a picture, but like I can just picture that in my head of like exactly what that looks like. And honestly,
Doesn't look good
are there
either.
probably some people like who are into that stuff? Maybe some in the world. I don't think there's a lot, but overall, it does that's not a good looking part on Trevor Bauer's case. And especially when you go into details on what he did, if he did not agree to this, Trevor Bauer's getting in a lot of trouble, Nate. He's getting
Absolutely, without a doubt.
in a lot of trouble. But what they have to figure out is if every single thing that they were doing during sex was it all consensual or was it consensual up to a certain point?
Right,
That's what they
right.
have to figure out right there. And again, I'm not sure what's true. What I will say though is I'm not going to wish no one the best of luck, but I will say this: I hope that she does have a speedy recovery because at the end of the day, two black guys bruised and cut, like you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That
that's
doesn't
just
come.
yeah.
So I do hope that she recovers from the injuries. However, it's very confusing on what happened. This is not going to be the first, it's not going to be the last update. I feel like we're going to have one more of that or a few more that talk about this case. But overall, Nate, again, she says that I agreed to have consensual sex. And that's what she said in a declaration given under the penalty of perjury. That's what interests me right there. Because if she lies, you're lying under you could go to jail for that. If you lied about that, you could go to jail for that or whatever. However, I did not agree or consent to what he did next. I did not agree to be sexually assaulted. Right there, that last part, if you're lying about that, you're going to prison for that. That is a crime to lie under perjury. Okay? Or it's a lie to lie under declaration or oath. That is a penalty of perjury, and you could go to prison for that. I know that for a fact. So again, it all depends on whether it was wholly consensual or it was consensual to a certain degree. If it was consensual to a certain degree and the stuff that was going on she did not agree to, he's getting in serious trouble, Nate. And he needs to be in serious trouble because that's absolutely sick. If she's lying about this and everything was wholly consensual, she's going to prison for perjury. Simple as that. And again, we talked about this, and I'm gonna say it one more time. We talked about it in the last video. Okay, it happens to regular people, but when you're an athlete under the spotlight, Nate, when you're an athlete under the spotlight, you have to be very, very careful who you associate yourself with. Okay, because like you said, doesn't mean they're saying like, hey, we're gonna, we're doing this or whatever. You got to be very, very careful because stuff like this could happen. If you're under the spotlight, stuff like this could happen. There are people who will lie to get an athlete or a celebrity in trouble to get cash, to get something out of it, they might not like them, so they lock them up or whatever the case might be if they didn't do it. However, again, sometimes I feel like stuff like this, I feel like because athletes are in the spotlight, when they commit a crime, it's more open because they're athletes, they make bigger stories. And so, because if a regular person did this, they'd be on like the local news. If you're Trevor Bauer, you're on sports news, which is a lot bigger than local news, So overall, That's what I think it's going to be based on, whether this was wholly consensual or whether it was consensual to a certain degree. So again, I'm not going to wish nobody the best of luck because I'm not sure what happened. You know, I wasn't there. Okay, you say it a lot of times. I'm going to say in this specific example, there's his story, there's her story, then there's the truth. We got his story, we have her story. Great. Where's the truth? That's what I want to know right there. The truth. And I hope that they can find it. So with that being said, I'm wishing
story.
Exactly. So with that being said, I'm wishing everybody involved in the investigation, you know, judge, everything like that, everything like that. I'm wishing you guys the best of luck in finding the actual truth, finding justice. And again, when we get an update on this, we will definitely let you guys know.